I had just ended the call with my IBD specialist. The meds I was on stopped working and I started bleeding out my butt again. Now, I had been on this medication previously before. I was on something called Humira. Now, this medication is like a biological, it is like an infusion. So basically, you've got to inject yourself either in your stomach or your leg every couple of weeks, and it's supposed to put you into remission. So I was on this medication for 18 months. Now, the side effects of this medication can be rare skin cancers that are incurable. It can mess up your immune system to the point of where you literally can't be around anyone who's got any colds. You can't even be anyone around that's got any chickenpox. If you do, you'll end up with shingles. It is a horrific medication to try and get you into remission. So I'd been on it for 18 months. And I thought to myself, you know what? I haven't got any of these side effects. So I'm going to come off it because I feel well in myself. I haven't had a flare up and yeah, I am good. 6 months after coming off the medication, I had a flare. And I thought to myself, this is taking the fucking piss. I've been on this medication for 18 months and within 6 months, I end up with another flare up. So then I decided to go back to the doctors and be like, right, okay, I've having another flare up. What do you want me to do? The doctor seemed a bit smug, to be fair. They kind of felt like, you didn't listen to us. We told you to be on this medication longer, because they did. But in my opinion, it wasn't worth the risk of staying on this medication if I ended up getting the flare, the side effects. So then they said the best thing to do is to go back on that medication again. So reluctantly, I was like, right, okay, if that's the best thing you're explaining to me, that is the best thing to do, I will go on it. And I was on this medication for 6 months and I had a flare on the medication. So I was fucking livid. I was absolutely livid. This so-called cure medication that was supposed to keep me in remission or put me into remission, I was still having a flare up. In that moment, I knew that medication was never ever going to get me the results I wanted. I felt so annoyed by the doctors that it kind of ignited a passion to basically find a solution to healing my UC without the doctor's help. I thought the doctors were just a bunch of arseholes who only ever told you how to heal through pills. And ever since I got diagnosed, that is all they've ever done. And I have tried going to them about different diets, different ways of actually healing, different things that might be underlying. And pretty much every single doctor has basically just pushed it off and said, nope, 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 that's not anything to do with it. You can't heal UC. Well, I'm here to tell you now. I've been in clinical remission for nearly 22 months using the protocol that's inside the description. The top link in the description is my 90-day UC regenerative healing protocol. This goes into depth on how to heal UC. So the base is the carnivore elimination diet. Then there's other things that are underlying that will help you obviously heal, because if you don't deal with the root cause, you will never ever heal. And the doctors don't go into that. So as I've obviously last seen the doctor, I kind of thought to myself, why do the doctors always want to just pump you full of meds? And the answer is, they are part of the system. And the system only wants to manage symptoms. They'll never ever find the root cause to why you can't heal. Pills, I can guarantee you now, will not heal your UC. So stop pretending to give me these miracle cures that the doctor keeps saying these are miracle fucking medications. Stop pretending that these are going to give me the results that I want. Prime example of this is the last time I had a flare. They tried telling me that I needed to go back on the medication. I was like, why? Why do I need to go on this medication? Because it's not helping me. I've gone longer without a flare-up, doing things naturally my way. And each time that I have come across something that I've had to end up with enough flare, I've come across something else which I've learned. Because at the end of the day, I'm using the flares as a learning tool to help me get to the final diagnosis of what is all the root causes that's going on inside my body, so I can heal these pieces like a puzzle piece. So basically you're taking a piece of this and a piece of that, a piece of this, a piece of that. So is it a bit of leaky gut? Right, I'll heal that. Oh, a bit of SIBO, I'll make sure I heal that. A bit of gut microbiome that needs sorting out. All these pieces will come into one piece to heal the UC. UC is not just inflammatory bowels. So it's not your bowels like your doctor keeps telling you. Doctors keep saying, oh, it's just your white blood cells that are attacking each other. Well, that's a load of fucking bullshit. Why would your body all of a sudden start thinking, you know what, I'm going to start attacking myself? It wouldn't. There's got to be things that's coming in or things that's going on, root cause, that's causing it to happen. Instead of masking it and trying to give you medication just to fucking mask the symptoms, how about we sit down, go through every test that there is? How about this, do things properly and get to the cause instead of just giving a medication that's going to just be like a bandage. So obviously, as I've been doing this, I changed my mindset, because one of the things that when I first got diagnosed, I was a bit passive. I never really went into like why I might have it or what the situation is if I don't have these medications or this, that, and other. I literally just did whatever the doctor told me to do, and it didn't help. So when I started becoming a scientist in my own life and started thinking, right, I want to do this myself, this is when I actually started getting true results to actually healing. I'm not kidding, 22 months, I have been healed from a UC, no meds, no like symptoms. Top link in the description. If you really want to get into remission, this course is just going to be the best thing that you can possibly do. Another thing that helped with changing my mindset was I started tracking everything. Food, triggers, symptoms, sleep, literally everything. Because I needed to find what things were irritating, what things were making me worse, what things were making me better. Because at the end of the day, I'm the person who controls this body, not the doctors. This brought me on to the first part of healing UC naturally, which is basically getting to the root cause of why things may be happening. Now, out of my research and out of my experience, people with UC are fucked. So they have something called gut permeability, which is classed as like leaky gut. So leaky gut is where the lining of your intestine gets thinner. So if you take the analogy of a net, so a net normally is quite tight, but if you have got leaky gut, it gets quite loose. So things from your intestines are going through these holes in your net when they shouldn't be. So it's supposed to let through, obviously, the vitamins and stuff like that. But because it's open so wide, it's letting bacteria in, letting food particles in. Now, these things are not supposed to be in your system. But the thing is, about 80% of people with UC have actually got leaky gut. But nearly 100% of them are never diagnosed with it. So by healing your leaky gut is one of the first things that you need to do when it comes to healing your UC. Next, you have gut dysbiosis, which is basically microbiome imbalances. So when you have a microbiome imbalance, it means you've got loads of overgrowth of bad bacteria, which can cause inflammation in your intestines, because these bad bacteria can actually attack your mucosal layer, which is like the mucus, which is inside your, basically your bowels. And if they attack that, then that will make it permeable, which I said earlier, which will give you leaky gut. They'll also, because they're releasing endotoxins inside of your intestines when they're dying off in this, like in this environment, because it's a bad environment, that causes loads of inflammation as well. So making sure your gut microbiome is basically getting rid of all the bad ones, creating good ones, then that's another way you've got to make sure that you're healing your UC. Next is obviously chronic inflammation. So these are the triggers. Next is chronic inflammation triggers. So this could be food, it could be stress, it could be toxins. All these things will contribute towards your UC. And if you don't get rid of the foods that are irritating, and if you don't reduce your stress, and then the environment that you're in with the toxins and everything like that, these can all cause even more inflammation. They need to be dialed in to make sure that you aren't staying in a flare constantly, because it's so easily done. And I think that's one of the reasons why over the last 12 years I've had UC, I have been on loads and loads of different medications, because I have had one flare after another, and each time I'd feel like I'm in remission. 6 months later, I'd have another flare up 6 months later. And I think all these things have contributed, because I've never ever got to the root cause until I started the carnivore elimination diet. And then I found out all these other underlying issues as I was doing it, which then I've healed each one. And now 22 months, no meds, symptom free. Honestly, if you want to do it, top link in the description. Healing UC isn't a quick fix. It's about healing your body from the inside out. Now, there will be ups and there will be downs. That's why it is very, very important to make sure that you've got the mindset there to handle the healing journey, because it's not all rainbows and sunshines. Now, you're probably wondering, how does meds actually fit into having a UC flare? Now, with meds itself, if you're in a bad flare, then I do recommend to go on medication. because it's like a short-term thing where you can get hold of the symptoms, reduce the symptoms very fast, so then you're not causing more damage. Now, if you've just started a flare and you're having a little bit of blood, a little bit of urgency, you know, maybe only going a couple of times a day, it's not that bad, then maybe the pills or the medication isn't really what you should do first. But say if you're in a full-on flare where you're going toilet 20, 30 times a day, there's so much blood, you're feeling tired, fatigued, you're losing weight, medication should be used on these instances, because they will, however they may be harsh, will help you reduce the inflammation very, very fast. Now, I know I've done a few videos, obviously, I seem like I'm anti-med, but I'm not. I'm anti-only med. So when the doctors prescribe you just medication and say, this will get you in remission, it's a load of fucking bullshit. I will not go on that medication and think this is the only thing that's going to heal me, because it's not going to happen. So if you need medications just for the time being, I'm not anti-med. So as I said, this is how I think medication should be used, and as a short-term basis to get you reducing the inflammation as quickly as possible. Because at the end of the day, if you don't, then you could end up being a lot worse, waiting for what you're trying to do to really kick in and do its job. So I can guarantee within 30 days of doing the carnivore elimination diet, it will pretty much get rid of all symptoms. But if you're having a really bad flare, it might take a while before it starts reducing them symptoms. So why not go on a short course of prednisolone, which is the steroids, which then will make sure that the inflammation drops straight away. So then when you're having all that food and you're taking all the shit out, it'll make sure that you're healing and you're not causing as much damage as what you could have done. Because at the end of the day, the more damage that you do, the more scarring that's going to happen to your intestines, the more it's going to hurt, the more time it's going to take for you to actually heal, because you've waited too long. So there was a time back in 2020 when obviously I was a bit of a rebel. I didn't really want to go to doctors. I started having a flare and I thought to myself, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm sick to death of these fucking doctors giving me these shitty medications which don't work. So I'm going to try and do this myself. And it must have been February time 2020. I had a flare, and at the time I was being vegetarian. And I was like, you know what? This diet I've heard is supposed to be good for inflammation. And then it must have been about October time. I had literally been flaring this whole time and I felt like shit. I'd lost weight and all sorts of different stuff. And I had to go to hospital, and they admitted me there and then, and I was in hospital for 5 days because I was that bad. Now, I'm not sure if it was the flare because of the vegetarian, because I was vegetarian beforehand, and I don't know if that caused the trigger, but I know one thing, it did not help in the slightest. So I was very reluctant to go, but if I decided to go on medication a bit earlier, I probably wouldn't have had to be admitted into hospital. So for me, that's instant where I should have thought to myself, you know what, I'll go on medication to try and reduce the inflammation. So it's about how to use them strategically or for your benefit. So with medication, it should be always the goal to get in a safe place where then you can start healing your gut, reduce the stress, get your diet on point. It should never ever be a solution to long-term things, because at the end of the day, the harsh side effects from these medications are going to ruin your life. And that's not even over exaggerating. Some of these medications have got that harsh of a side effect, like they'll fuck up your immune system for the rest of your life. So you basically have to be wrapped in bubble wrap, or they'll give you incurable skin cancers, or they'll end up giving you like spots, or they could fuck up your joints because they give you arthritis and all these other stuff. They're just not good to be on long term. As I said earlier, if you want my 90-day regenerative UC healing protocol, top link in the description. If you want to heal naturally by using a step-by-step process that has got me into remission now for 22 months, no meds, no symptoms. It goes into everything you can possibly think of. It's got a module about how to navigate the medical system and how to get what you want out of it. So how to use meds strategically, how to speak to your doctors about making sure that they are on your side instead of just prescribing medication. Then there's modules on how to obviously do the carnivore elimination diet, how to heal leaky gut, how to get rid of things like histamine, how to obviously get a better gut microbiome. All these things are inside the course, so then you heal your UC. It's about going into the root cause. It's not just about masking things or putting a bandage on things. It's about getting into a place where you are actually healed, which means you can then move on forward from that. You can have a normal life again instead of having your life taken over by this shitty disease. So don't be a victim of UC or the medical system, and take back control. You need to focus on root cause healing, use meds strategically, and not take this as a life sentence to misery for the rest of your life. Now let me know in the comments below, what is the biggest frustration that you found having UC? Now if you like the content, like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.